Hello, soul family. Welcome back. If you're new to my channel, welcome. So today I wanted to talk to you guys about self-regulating, stimming, being weird, being your authentic self. So I was on TikTok and I came across this woman that was talking about being weird, right? And she was being weird herself. And then she made her point as to why she was acting like a weirdo on her video. She was moving around and making all these like funny faces and funny body, movements and stuff like that. And she really inspired me to talk deeper about what it meant to be weird, to be you, to be your authentic self, and why being weird is so important. So since we were little, we've been so programmed by society to be normal, whatever that means to you. Normal. The idea of being objectively normal was created to sell, and not just sell, but sell products, and it was for political agendas or for some sort of financial gain in the future. You are being groomed to be a corporate worker, basically. You're being groomed. You've been being groomed since you were a child to be a person that can be employed so that you can work for the corporation of America, okay? Being normal makes you a normal, air quoting, normal. Being normal makes you acceptable in the society that we live in today. Creative people that are weirdos, strange, or are they express themselves through their makeup, clothes, tattoo, hair, stuff like that. Those kind of, when I say weird, that's what I'm talking about. So creative people that are weird and self-expressive are likely the ones that will not get the job. They won't get hired. I know that when I was working and I was working in human resources, there were certain people that the team, not me, the team would say, the resume looks good, but they would have to wear long sleeve shirts to hide the tattoos on their arm, or they would have to take out their eyebrow piercing or their lip piercing or their tongue piercing, or they would have to consider dyeing their hair a normal color, like black, blonde, brown, normal red, but like the normal red, normal, air quoting this, normal red, okay? And you really cannot tell these people these things because that's discrimination. However, the tattoo thing, you can tell them they'd have to wear their hair up, take the jewelry off, stuff like that. But like the blue hair, I don't even think that you could tell people about the face tattoos. I don't know. It's a little bit different now with some stuff because some stuff does fall under discrimination. But to work in the corporate world, a desk job, there's a lot of places that will not hire you with purple hair, tattoos on your fingers, long fingernails, the false eyelashes that are super long and super bushy, being creative self, expressive. They won't hire you to work in most places in the corporate world. It's because the ego says that differences are flaws, and that's what we've been programmed to push. Differences are flaws that should be hidden. So you cannot be weird and be authentic. You have to hide that part of yourself, and you have to put a mask on and go to work and act as if you are this normal human being, whatever that means to you. Okay, suit and tie, normal hair color, no tattoos, no body piercings, stuff like that. normal. Air quoting, just in case you guys are not watching. Air quoting. I'm air quoting this. Now, I know firsthand how this affects people because it has affected me. I was let go from a job and I had a very high position. I was working in human resources. I was running 3 companies within one building. I was a manager. And I had dyed my hair and it came out blue. It was supposed to be a different color. Still kind of blue, but more of like a blackish blue. And it came out like bluish blue. It was nice. I liked it, kinda. But I embraced it. I loved it. Everybody that came in, all the customers, stuff like that, you know, they'd walk up to me and they would approach me and just say, oh, wow, I really love your hair color. And around this time, you know, 2020, there were women that were in their 70s that were dyeing their hair pink and purple and green. You know, I would see these people out in public and I thought it was pretty neat. It wasn't just the younger generation. It was older women and men, you know, expressing themselves and changing their hair color and making it the new normal, because that's what it is, the new normal. We're not in the 1950s anymore, guys. We've evolved. We are creative beings. Just because we have blue hair and tattoos does not mean that we're stupid. You can still be very intelligent and be expressing yourself by changing your hair color or, you know, the way that you dress and I don't know. Touchy subject. It really is. It's a touchy subject. But I know firsthand because I was let go and I was told to change my hair back. I said I couldn't because it was blue, that it would have to go through a long transition, that I could change it black. And I was told, no, we hired you as a blonde. We want you to be blonde. So I sued them and I won. Anyways, I know firsthand because I was fired and I've worked in a position of power that I had to sit in with team members and listen to everybody, basically talk about the people that we were interviewing and say why we couldn't interview certain people, even though they had such a great resume because of their appearance and the type of job that, you know, they were applying for. So they weren't allowed to be weird. They had to be normal if they wanted to get the job. Yeah, it's all society ills. They made a song about this. Long hair, freaky people need not apply. I don't know if that's something that really happened back in the 60s, 70s, but I mean, if they made a song about it, it must have been true. They made a song about it. It's something that society has been trying to do for so long, making people appear normal so that you can work for the corporation of America and make money, not for just yourself, but for the corporation too. You got to be business professional. And that doesn't include having blue hair and tattoos and piercings. So, oh, and not just how you appear to look, it's also how you act. You had to appear normal. You had to act normal as well. Okay, so it wasn't just an appearance thing. It was also a behavioral thing. We've been programmed to sit still. Don't speak unless you're spoken to. Raise your hand if you had a question. You had to raise your hand for permission to speak, or use the bathroom. We've been told that we cannot look at certain things, or we cannot touch certain things. We can only look at it. Look, don't touch. Meaning that you can't look at it, explore it, figure it out. Some of us are hands-on for learning, and just looking at something, we find it very difficult to figure it out unless we touch it. Maybe even take it apart and put it back together again to figure it out. Some of us are hands-on. You can look, but you can't touch. It's all forced control. It's indoctrination. That's what school is, indoctrination. We, or as we grew older and older, we were constantly told by our superiors, teachers, doctors, nurses, parents, grandparents, aunts and uncles, stop fidgeting. You know, people fidget. I'm a fidgeter. I fidget. Sometimes I pick at things, fidget. I mess with my hair. I'm like, oh my God, I'm fidgeting. You know, I'm a fidgeter. I fidget. Stop fidgeting. Don't fidget. Sit still. Stop making that noise. Stop moaning. Stop making faces. As young kids, we're already created to know how to self-regulate. We already knew how to self-regulate our body since we were born. It's built into us. Nobody has to tell you to breathe. It's the same concept. When you're anxious, you do something that self-regulates you, whatever calms you. Everybody's different. Everybody has different stims. They call them stims now. We were built to self-regulate our nervous system. It's a natural process. Some kids may fidget or self-regulate more often and even more intensely or more aggressively than other children or even adults. It's not just kids, adults too. And it's because it depends on your environment, where you were growing up, how you were raised, what your life is like currently, what your life was like back then. It depends on what you're exposed to in life. Not just the behavior of your parents, your home situation, your school situation, your work situation, your money situation, but also the toxins. Do you live around a factory? Do your parents smoke in the house? Do you live on a busy corner where tons of cars go by? Or do you live in a big city where there's a lot of pollution? Do you live in the country by a cornfield where they're constantly spraying the field? It's your environment too. All of that is a factor. Do you live by electrical towers, 5G boxes? All of that factors into this, into your environment and what you're exposed to. Not all of us have calm parents and a smooth upbringing. Not all of us were raised in a beautiful suburban neighborhood that's quiet, away from pollution, noise, stuff like that. Parents that didn't smoke in the house or use crazy abusive language. They didn't have crazy busy lifestyles. We weren't living, some of us were not on a strict schedule, limited to this and that. Some people have a very calm lifestyle and everything seems to be in place. Not all of us had that growing up. Okay. For some of us, for many of us, we may have nervous tendencies and we self-soothe to get through the day because our day is hectic. It's chaotic. Not all of us have jobs that are laid back. Most of us are on edge because we're super busy. We're worked super hard, especially a lot of the nurses work super hard. They're short-staffed, stuff like that. So they're high-strung, and that creates a fight or flight response within your body, within your system. If we were not told to sit still and taught to be so damn normal, we wouldn't fight the urge to want to scream or let out a weird sigh of relief. I know that because that's what I do. When I'm super overstimulated, I do that. Sometimes I do that when I'm around people and I don't think about it. So I must look like I'm autistic or something to some people. And I'm not. I'm just self-regulating. I'm calming down my nervous system. So it might seem weird for some people. I've learned not to suppress, doing weird things in public to release anxious energy. I don't care anymore. I used to care, and I used to keep it built up. And when I kept it built up, it made me more anxious and had more panic attacks. And those panic attacks led to other things. Some of us may get up and shake, like, I don't know, if you get up from your desk and you like shake your body out and move your body around and you shake it out. And even that looks weird to some people. I used to get up from my desk and I used to like stretch, like do all kinds of stretching, like as if I was in the gym. And I didn't think it was weird at all. I thought it was normal to get up, stretch your legs. It's not good to sit. And I knew this because it creates blood clots in your body. And also your lymphatic system needs to drain. So in order for it to drain, you need to stretch and move. And if you're sitting at a desk 8 hours a day, you're not draining your lymphatic system, and you are possibly creating blood clots in your body. And I knew this because my heart doctor told me about this. So I was like, okay, I'm going to move my body. I remember my doctor telling me, make sure you get up and move around, even walk around every 30 minutes if you're sitting at your desk. Same thing, if you're on an airplane that's a 3-hour ride or longer, you should be getting up and walk up and down the aisle every 30 minutes. Just take a walk down, walk back up, walk back down. Stretch your legs. So you should be moving, getting out that anxious energy, shake it out. Like I said, it may look weird, but we have very stressed nervous systems, and we tend to not self-regulate. We do not self-regulate because we were taught that it's weird. Babies, kids, they know how to self-regulate. When they're little and they're sick, babies, I remember myself, even as a kid, I would moan and curl up into a ball and I would rock my body and moan. This is called toning. I've talked about this in a video when I talked about grounding. It's called toning, and you can change. Certain hums are higher, certain hums are lower, certain moans are higher and certain moans are lower, because you're toning something in your body that needs healing. So if you have a stomach ache, and you're doing the a tone that's reverberating your solar plexus, you're calming that area, that chakra system. You're soothing it, you're calming it, you're healing it, and you are lowering the pain and the anxiety that's in your body from feeling sick. It heals the area that has pain. It calms the nervous system down. When some kids get up, or when some kids get so excited, I know this because I've had small kids. I have 3 kids. Now I have grandkids. When they get excited, they run. And sometimes they just throw themselves on the ground and they make noise, they scream, they roll around. And they do this because they're super happy or they're super tired. What they're doing is that's the way they release energy from their body. Okay? They're releasing energy. They're regulating. They scream to regulate. They run to regulate. Great. I'm sitting next to the clock that makes all the noise. They're like right next to it. So it's going to sound loud, I think. It's 4 o'clock, guys. It's telling me it's 5 o'clock, but it's 4 o'clock. Yeah, the clock was never changed. It's 4 o'clock. So I feel that if we taught our kids a proper way to express themselves, if we were taught a proper way to express ourselves, maybe we would have been able to teach our kids sooner a proper way to express themselves, and maybe they would not be so rambunctious if we normalized self-regulating. So maybe they wouldn't run around and throw themselves and scream to self-regulate. Maybe they would do something sooner to release some of that built up energy. And when they run and scream, maybe that's just because they were holding in and building. And then the scream and the running is just a release of all of that energy. So if we would have taught them properly how to self-regulate and release and show them that it's okay to do this and that, then maybe they would have done that sooner, and that, you know, that could avoid the running and throwing themselves on the floor and screaming and looking crazy and acting crazy and looking as if they are misbehaved children, if we were to normalize this. My point is, kids just know how to move their body, and they know how to move the energy through their body. For example, when kids are anxious, scared, or in pain, they moan or hum and they make noise. This is calming. Like I just mentioned this. This is calming, and it's toning. I literally just talked about that. And it's healing the nervous system. It's literally healing the nervous system. Kids on the spectrum do this, and they call it stimming. They are naturally healing their body. Have you ever tried to stop a child that's on the spectrum, or even an adult? It's not just children, anybody that's on the spectrum, from stimming? I don't know why you would want to. You don't want to, but if you do try to stop them from stimming because maybe they're doing it too aggressively or too intensely, they'll go bonkers on you. They'll go ape shit on you. I know this because I have grandchildren that are on the spectrum. They'll go crazy on you. You cannot stop them from calming down their nervous system. You cannot normalize their self-regulation. They say that wrong. Cannot normalize. We should normalize their self-regulation. But what I meant to say is we cannot make their self-regulate, their body, their stimming process. We cannot make them self-regulate in a normal way, you know, in a calmer way. We have to accept the way that they self-regulate. We have to accept the way that they stim. So if it is intense or aggressive, it's probably because they're very overstimulated, and whatever was overstimulating them was ignored by whoever their caretaker is. And they didn't recognize what was overstimulating that adult or child at the moment. So when they're stimming intensely, it's just because they're just super overstimulated and they're just trying to release. They're trying to calm down their nervous system, like, you know, or best thing to do is actually get them away from whatever's overstimulating them, earmuffs, or get them away from whatever the case may be. If it's loud noise, people, being out in public. I mean, the case varies person to person. So I had to correct myself. It was not that we wanted to normalize whatever I said earlier. I forgot what I even said. We cannot control the way that they stim, and we don't want to stop it and make them, you know, self-regulate in a way that's more acceptable to society. What they're doing is they're naturally healing their body. When my kids were little, especially my son, they would have temper tantrums. Oh, my daughter too. They are both children that had temper tantrums. So my kids would both throw fits, temper tantrums, and have like full-blown temper tantrums. Except for my son would do them in public. My daughter would do them mostly at home. If I was home and I was by myself, I would just let my child have the temper tantrum, the meltdown in whatever room that they were in. I wouldn't like yell at them or anything like that. I was just like, you know, have your temper tantrum. I walk away, ignore it. If I had company over, then yes, I would pick my child up, put my child in the bedroom, let them have their meltdown in the bedroom. I would shut their door, let them melt down in private. If we were out in public, like a grocery store or a restaurant, I would pick them up and I would bring them to the bathroom and let them have their meltdown in the bathroom, or bring them out to the car and have their meltdown in the car. Yeah, These are the way, when kids are having temper tantrums, that's another way to self-regulate. It's just a different kind of energy that they're trying to release from their body. They're trying to get rid of, built up angry energy, very angry energy. And that's bad energy, angry energy. If you try to spank the child, yell at the child, grab the child, hold the child and look at them in their face and be like, stop what you're doing, you're just creating more chaos on that body, more nervousness going into that body. Okay, nervousness into that system, and it's going to just intensify the fight or flight reaction. Just got to let them release that energy. I know lots of parents have different points of views about that. Some parents are like, nah, hell yeah, just take that child and you need to beat their ass. I used to be that parent. I was a young mom. I was like, no, you got to beat their ass. That's bad behavior. But as I got older, I realized it's not bad behavior. It's bad parenting. This is my perspective, by the way. Like I said, I was a young mom. I was naive. I was stupid. I was 16 when I got pregnant. Right at the end I had just turned 17. And like a week later, I had my son. So I was pregnant at 16, just had my son at 17. Like a week after my 17th birthday. So I didn't know I didn't know how to be a parent. I was just young. I left home when I was 15. I started my first job when I was 15. I was very young when I started my life as a responsible person. So I did not know a lot of this stuff that I'm talking about in this video. With my first child, which he has ADHD. I didn't know about ADHD. I didn't even know what it was. I had to go through so much hell, and I had child services called on me from the school, actually, because of my son's bad behavior, just to find out that it was a medical condition. He had ADHD. He actually had lead poisoning. We lived in an old house, and he had lead poisoning. First off, he had lead poisoning. From the house that we lived in. So we had to move out of the house that we were renting. Because it was just old. Nice, beautiful house. It had lead dust everywhere. So first off, we found out that it was lead poisoning. Then he was diagnosed with ADHD. And then he was diagnosed with ODD and other health impaired. So he had lots of behavioral stuff going on, which, happens when you don't allow a kid to self-regulate. Also, it's when you don't discipline correctly. Remember, I was a young adult. How do I discipline? I didn't grow up in a house, really. I didn't get disciplined in a nice way. My father whooped us with a belt or a horse whip. And we didn't get... Nobody sat us down to talk to us, to explain to us why something was right or wrong. We usually just got screamed at, and we just heard, rah, 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 rah. That was discipline. My father would grab our face like this and yell at us, me and my brother, and then he would bang our heads together because he said we were stupid. And if we bang our heads together, like, hello, McFly, that was his favorite thing. We'd tap on our head and be like, hello, McFly. Yell at us, say we were stupid. Bang our heads together. And then he'd be like, capiche, capiche. Ooh, that was his favorite thing. Capiche. He would yell at us. Like, do you understand? That's what he was asking. You understand? You understand? And you'd have to say capiche. Or he'd keep yelling at you. And I would start crying, and he'd let go of my face. Why are you crying? And he's like, I can't say capiche. Because he had my face so tight. So I didn't know. I don't know how to talk to children. I thought that's the way you do it. You yell at them. You do stupid shit. You get yelled at. You get spanked. You get told you're stupid. You stupid, stop crying. I didn't like it, so you'd think I wouldn't do it, but, 15, leaving home, having a child young, you don't think about these things. So, stuff like this behavioral stuff happens when you don't allow a kid to self-regulate and you don't discipline properly and you end up medicating a child. Because I don't feel like any of the medications for the ADHD worked. Had a lot of bad side effects to them, like a lot of tics and sickness. Eventually we took them off. We figured out a different way. As I got older and I learned more, I started to figure out stuff. So when you don't allow them to self-regulate and you don't discipline properly and you medicate them, then they don't know how to react. The children, they don't know how to react. Plus you add an environment. Behavior is communication. So it was it was a communication fail on my part as a young, dumb mom. I was young, no experience, no help. I was poor. I was selfish. When I say selfish, I mean I wanted to be with my friends. I didn't want to be a mom. I wanted to hang out with my friends like all the other teenagers. I wanted to do what all the other teenagers were doing and have teenage fun more than I wanted to be a mom. You know, that made me angry, and the list goes on. Not proud of it, but I forgave myself for it. So I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, I regret this, this, and that, because I don't regret anything. It made me the person I am today. This all affected my childhood, especially my children's childhood. You live and you learn. I did not know any of this. What I'm talking about in this video, like I do now. When my second child came along, I was a tad bit better. Still was like not great, but I was a tad bit better. By my third child, you know, I was older. I was in my later 20s. I was 27. And, you know, I had more of an understanding of life and all of the stuff that I'm talking about now. I used to have regrets, but then I forgave myself. Now, as a Mimi, I can help my grandchildren self-regulate, and I can help them normalize it. I can help my children show their children how to normalize it and guide my children as a parent. I can guide my children to be better parents if they choose to take my help and advice, of course. And they don't always. They don't never. They don't never. They like to get angry with me and blame me. And they like to throw my past in my face. So I don't help them now unless they ask me for help. And they don't really ever ask me for that kind of help. They ask me for like financial help, but they won't ask me for like any other help other than financial help. But when the little ones are here, when the grandbabies are here, I'm more open to allowing them to express themselves, even if they cry and have temper tantrums the whole time they're here. I just allow them to release whatever built up energy that is, and eventually it'll stop. It stops. And then they play like little children. And it's a good way for my children to get a little bit of a break from all that, because I'm allowing their kids to just go play. And if they have a meltdown, you know, nobody's here like, oh my God, are you going to make them stop? Are you going to go do something about that? Like, go beat their ass, go yell at them. I just tell them, don't worry, just let them cry. Just leave them alone. They'll get over it. And when they're done, they'll be fine. They'll be fine. You know, don't worry about it. It's all good. So when children are overstimulated, they may do things like hum, groan, yell, repeat words, make high-pitched noises, screeching sounds, squealing noises. Maybe they'll sing songs. Maybe it'll be the same song over and over again, or they'll hum the melody of that song. Maybe they'll bounce. If they're sitting down, they'll bounce. Maybe they'll tap on something continuously. Maybe they'll wiggle and jiggle around. Maybe they'll throw themselves to the floor and roll around. Maybe they'll make strange faces or fiddle, fidget, slap themselves, clap, jump. Maybe they'll Maybe they'll drum on something constantly. Maybe they'll pace back and forth or run back and forth, pacing. Maybe they'll touch stuff. Maybe they'll pick stuff up and they'll look at it and they'll feel it because it's wet. It's cool, so they'll keep touching it and feeling it. A robin just came up to the window. They might just like the texture of something, so they like walk up and look at things. I know that when I'm having like a panic attack, I like to touch stuff. I like to hold it in my hand and think to myself, black hat. And it takes my mind off of having that panic attack. So maybe that's kind of like what it's doing for children too. Or maybe they're just texture. They like texture, or they're curious. Maybe they'll dance around the house or dance around outside, stuff like that. This is soothing. This is soothing for them, not just them, but for all of us. This goes for all of us, for adults and kids, and those that are on the spectrum. By doing this stuff, it moves nervous energy out of the body. We were created to self-regulate. All life was created to heal, to be able to heal. Stimming is not new. It's built into us. Stimming is just the new word that these psychologists, psychiatrists, medical doctors, it's what they use to tell parents what their children is doing. Instead of just telling the parents that the kid is self-regulating, they tell them they're stimming. Oh, your child, that's called stimming. Or even adult, when you go and you tell them that you do all this stuff and they tell you, oh, you're stimming. Stimming. Stimming is self-regulating behaviors. Usually involves repetitive, movements or sounds, just in case you were wondering what stimming was. Same thing as self-regulating. Stimming, self-regulating, potato, same thing. Tomato. And we do a lot of these self-regulating behaviors or stimming behaviors because the world around us is just so chaotic, so crazy. It's crazy busy, it's fast, and we become overstimulated quickly with all of our responsibilities. Kids and adults, we all have responsibilities. And the EMF around us, from the Wi-Fi, power lines, cell phones, all of these wireless electronics. Kids are wearing the wireless headphones, the VR, wireless, so much wireless stuff, so much EMF energy around us. The traffic, the pollution from the planes, the noise pollution from people, wherever you live, whatever kind of noise that you have to deal with in your neighborhood, smells, the expectations you deal with in life, the deadlines that you have in life. If you're a busy working person, or even if you're a student in school, kids have deadlines too. And we all have limited time to do a lot of the stuff that we're doing. That makes us anxious. More adults and children are stimming, self-regulating, and it's becoming more normal. Finally. Well, I noticed it. I don't know if you guys are noticing, but I'm noticing it starting to become normal. Like, people are talking about it. More and more people. Kids like my son's age, like in their 20s, like 27 to 15, more kids are starting to talk about their mental health and how certain things make them feel. That's becoming more normal and more acceptable, to be vulnerable and creating boundaries and taking care of your mental health and talking about it. I'm noticing an uprise in that lately. So that is becoming more normal to talk about mental health, which is a good thing. It's a healthy thing. Because we are all overstimulated and we're all carrying around too much anxious energy. We need to be vulnerable and talk about this. There is no shame. There shouldn't be any shame. We are all going through something crazy something that is overstimulating us in our life. None of us are perfect. We just all may have different lifestyles. We have different levels of crazy. Just because my level of crazy doesn't fit in your category of level of crazy doesn't mean it's any less than yours. Okay? Everybody's overstimulating anxious energy is making them feel a certain way, and it's a real emotion, and it's creating a real reaction to the nervous system of the body, and it's creating real illnesses within the body. So I see more and more people expressing themselves and being weird in a good way. Weird in a good way. So being weird is weird, okay? That was how I started the video. Weird. Being weird is natural. It's good. It's okay. We may come off as freaking weird, fucking bizarre, because we're not able to self-regulate until, you know, if we come off as like really weird people, you come across somebody that's just like wildly weird, it's only because a lot of us were not able to self-regulate until we got older. And we said, fuck it. And we just let it loose. Let the weird out. We let the energy out. That's all we did, is we released all this built up energy. And a lot of us started to become our authentic self. And we became comfortable with it. And some of us seen and felt that it was okay to be our authentic self, to be weird, because we started to be accepted by the people that we met, by our friends, our coworkers, because it made them feel comfortable in some way. It made them feel comfortable. They recognized something within in you, from you being authentic, for you being real, from you being weird. They noticed something that made them feel like it was okay. It felt good. It felt normal. So they felt comfortable to open up and be a little weird too. It's because it is recognized as normal to be you. Normal to be you. Normal to be yourself. Normal to be your authentic self. To do what feels good. And if it makes someone else laugh, they're not laughing at you. They're laughing with you. Okay? They're not laughing at you. They're laughing with you. It's a good laugh. It's a laugh of relief. It's a release of, oh, I can finally be myself around you. I met my people. It's like a laugh of relief, like a sigh of relief, a laugh of release. Felt comfortable. Being weird or your authentic self is okay. It's just a natural way to release energy. Sorry, I'm by the window, so any car that goes by, it's going to be super loud. So, some of us move it through our voice, our energy, our built up anxious energy. Some of us just move it through our voice, even if it's something like yelling the word fuck. I know I whispered it, but there's a lot of times I do something and I'm just like, fuck. Yeah, it could be that simple. Some of us move it through our face and we like roll our eyes and or whatever. We just make like weird facial expressions. You know, like dumb face expressions. Some of us, move our jaw around. We like move our face around and we do like weird stuff with our face. This is all releasing energy. I mean, like, do this. Just do this. Touch your face and be like, wah. Do this. It feels fucking amazing. It's a release. Your body needs this release too. You need to touch yourself and move your body around to release built up energy. You need to make noise. You need to move. You need to release energy. Be real, be you, be authentic. Don't be afraid to be weird. It's okay. Some people, they do weird stuff. It's just how they release energy. You know, it's like a weird tick. If you have it built up for so long, it just comes out in a really fucked up way. Like people just at their computer as they're typing, you know, it bleeds out of you. It has to come out one way or another. And if you keep holding it in, it's going to just burst out and do something. I mean, some people even cry. They don't know why they're having a nervous breakdown, and they cry and they're all upset. It's because that's the way energy is bursting out of you. It's a release of energy coming out of you without you releasing it in a healthy way. I don't know, some of us, you know, when we release energy, we're like, la, 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 la. We do things with our tongue, or, you know, we do. That looked funny on camera. It looked like it was in slow motion. You know, we do stuff like that, and it feels good to release that energy. We make, you know, raspberry noises with our mouth. Sometimes we might get up if we're sitting at our desk and jump a few times, or like stretch around or move your arms. I have this thing where I stand up. Oh shit, almost knocked my plant over. And I go like this. And I turn my body. And I let my arms just swing and hit myself. It's a way to release energy. It's healing your nervous system. It releases pain and inflammation in your body, which is created when your nervous system is in fight or flight for so long. Some of us shrug our shoulders, we wiggle it out. We were so programmed to just sit still. Don't move. Don't touch that. Don't do that. Don't say that. Don't say anything at all unless you're spoken to. Just be quiet. Don't be that. And by doing that to us, and by doing that to your children, it puts us in an energy prison. We're basically taught to just sit still and deal with it and do it quietly. And that's it. Don't move. Act normal. Behave good and act normal. Most doctors diagnose children and adults today, this is my point of view, my perspective. This is how I see the world. I'm noticing that more people are being diagnosed as autistic. I see a lot of, and children are being diagnosed, did I say that? Children and adults are being diagnosed as autistic, or I don't know how you say it anymore because everything is changed how you use language. So when I say autistic, I mean like spectrum, neurodivergent, stuff like that. All in the word autistic. So if you hear me say autistic, that's what I mean. So I'm seeing a lot of diagnosed children and adults being told that they're autistic because they still recognize all that stuff that I just talked about, that self-regulating behavior I just talked about, that stimming behavior that I just talked about, as abnormal behavior. Oh, if you're doing that, it's abnormal. You must be autistic. Then they make you take a test. And everything on the test, you're like, yeah, that's me. Yeah, that's me. Yeah, that's me. That's being a fucking human, dude, with responsibilities in a society that has your nervous system like in fight or flight constantly. Now, I'm not saying that that's the case for everybody, but for a lot of people, I looked at the test. I was just like, yeah. No. I could take this a step further and talk about how what I'm talking about today, and spirituality, ascension, growth, and all that also plays hand in hand, but maybe I'll save that for another video. My foot's falling asleep. So they still recognize all that stimming stuff as abnormal behavior, when in fact, For most people, it's just built up energy releasing in an unhealthy way. It's a reaction to being overstimulated in this crazy world. This is my perspective. We are an overstimulated society in constant fight or flight, surrounded by busy adults, busy parents, busy children. You're a busy child yourself. In a busy world that seems to be falling apart at this very moment. The world is buzzing with unhealthy, anxious, anxiety energy. Anxious anxiety energy. Yeah, I said it right. And we're all consuming it. We are always in a rush, or we have a strict time limit to do stuff. Add in environment. The environment that you're raised in or were raised in. Add in the dirty energy from Wi-Fi and power lines and 5G and vaccines and etc. No wonder kids are bursting out and stimming aggressively. We were not built to deal with all of this stuff that we're being raised in right now. All this man-made shit that's overstimulating us. We have to acclimate to all this because I'm Gen X. I wasn't raised in this world of all this energy pollution. I'm constantly overstimulated, and the world is getting faster and faster and faster because of technology. So my body has to constantly acclimate to all of this new technology and energy waves as they come in. Not to mention the energy of the earth as it speeds up, the Schumann, the geomagnetic storms, and stuff like that. It's a hit on our body. So we have to acclimate to this. Now, could you imagine what the boomers are feeling? What are my kids? Millennials? Why don't I know this? 27, 24, and 15. Whatever they are. They were born in a world with more technology than I had, more of the energy pollution than I was. But they still have to acclimate because they're still creating. We weren't built for this. This is dirty toxins. That's another thing. Toxins, the toxic shit, the air, the food, the water, the thoughts, toxins. And we just have to constantly heal our body and take care of our body. Physical, mental, spiritual. So we weren't built for this, but we're acclimating to this. We have to break free from the programming, first of all, and take care of ourselves. Normalize this. Take care of your body, your mind, your soul. And be weird. It's okay to be weird. Be your authentic self. Express yourself. Be creative. I feel we held on to so much anxiety, so much anxious energy for so long without a healthy release. Now we're all stiff, sick, sore, inflamed, with multiple dis-ease in our body that's creating autoimmune sicknesses. And this is all from anxiety, from having your nervous system all jacked up. It's damaging our nervous system, which controls the body. Constantly being in fight or flight. Constantly. Cortisol levels are like through the roof all the time. That's not good. It's not good. And lots of people are being diagnosed with autism. Now, don't get confused when I'm not saying that autism is not a thing and that it's not real and people are being misdiagnosed. I'm not saying that, even though it may come off that way. There's more to it there's more that goes into a diagnosis of being autistic, or, from being on the spectrum. But there are a lot of doctors that don't consider the nervous system in their diagnosis and what's happening to their patient's nervous system that's creating these, stimming behaviors, these self-regulating behaviors, even though they may come off as aggressive or intense. Before you accept a simple spectrum diagnosis, try working on the nervous system and see if that helps. Like, do some research about how to heal your nervous system. It takes a long time. It takes at least a year to see a small change in the nervous system. It's not easy to heal, especially if you've already created an illness or a dis-ease in the body from anxiety. I know, because I do stuff to calm my nervous system. I'm always working on calming my nervous system, and it's not easy. I have to do physical stuff. Not just physical, I have to eat differently, but I have to move my body, because that's key. The movement of your body is key. Certain stretches, certain pressure points on your body for release, stuff like that. So this is stuff that you guys have to research. I have autoimmune disease in my body, and and it's all because of the fight or flight. So at this point, this is where I leave you guys to, I tell you, do your due diligence and look deeper into all of this that I spoke about today, if it's something that, you're interested in, if you feel guided to do it. I'm simply just, bringing it to your attention, bringing awareness to you about this. My perspective. I'm not a doctor, I'm not a psychologist or psychiatrist or anything like that. I'm just a soul having a human experience, sharing my perspective. This is the perspective from my timeline, from my journey. This is how I feel. This is how I see the world around me right now. Long story short is, if you want to heal, you have to be your authentic self. That's basically what I wanted to tell you guys today. If you want to heal, you have to be your authentic self. And if that makes you weird, then get fucking weird. Who cares what people think? Stop caring what people think. Don't go your whole life worrying about what people think. And then when you hit your 40s, you're going to sit back and be like, I wish I didn't give a fuck what people thought about me, what they thunk about me. Because I was in my late 30s when I was like, damn, I spent my whole life worrying about how people would view me. And it never really even mattered. It doesn't fucking matter. I wish I would have just been authentic my whole life. Maybe I wouldn't have all of these issues that I have today. But you live and learn. And now I'm talking about it and I'm sharing it with you guys. It's just part of my path, I guess. So get weird. The weirder, the better. We have to embrace the weird. Embrace being your authentic self. Embrace talking about your feelings and be vulnerable. It's time to regulate. I love you guys.